Raise your hand if anyone here has talked to a tree. Now, another question. Has anyone here talked to a river? Now, has anyone here talked to one of these?
It is a little ironic that we find it normal to speak to an inanimate object, made of plastic and metal, and it is considered strange to talk to the living beings who are part of our ecosystem and community. Yes, we mostly use these objects to talk to family, friends, or loved ones. The result, however, is that we spend most of our days staring at screens, consumed by the spectacle of our avatar inhabiting a virtual world. We are constantly bombarded by images. From social media feeds to dramatic newscast footage, we are perpetually connected to the stream of information our society produces. We also have voices constantly talking in our ears. There's never silence in our lives or in our heads. All the while, society splits apart.
We are more and more divided across invisible borders of party lines and ideologies. People who could unite and work together for the good of their community fight. This happens because the media machine, the podcasts we listen to, the newscasts we read and watch, and the social media we utilize has figured out what sells. When we are angry, they make money, and we forget to look up at the world.
For this reason, we have a wish we would like to share with you all today. If I were a seagull, what would I see? How would the world look as I soar? The wind in my wings, the tail of a fish, a ripple in the water, a trail in the sand, a starfish, and then perched on a rock, staring into the distance, or singing with friends. How would the world look if I were a seagull and didn't have to pretend?
If I were an otter, what would I see? The free-flowing water of a stream or the immensity of a deep blue sea. My feet in the snow, my wet fur, the bubbles that race me as I swim, as I turn. Would I feel free in my endless plunging? Would I feel loved by family and friends, those with whom I play and it doesn't look like I pretend? Is the water blue or murky brown? Do I like mud, the wet ground? Is the sun yellow, the sky so blue that they are a roller coaster of swirling hues? What would the world look like if I were an otter and had the strength to just be?
If I were a chipmunk, what would I see? The rusty color of fallen leaves, pine needles, curving ferns, and logs turning to mulch on the wet earth. The strawberries so red, the trees so tall, and a constant need to run and explore. Would I see details clear and sharp, pictures no human eye has ever beheld? Or would it be all a blur, a phantasmagoria of patches and swirls? Would the world run as fast as my paws, jumping and turning as I hop? What would I see if I were a chipmunk, just for a little bit?
If I were a turtle, what would I see? Would I move to the rhythm of a melody only I could hear? The spongy ground of a pond, the lilies blooming, the fish swimming, the dragonflies flying, and me waiting. My shell like a rock, my head looking up, the sky in my eyes, the sky in the water, the clouds sailing by. If I were a turtle, what would I see? Would I know the difference between being here and in between? Would I be present like never before? For every minute is an entire history about to unfold.
If I were a firefly, what would I see? Will they know the night is alight with millions of beings like me? Will they feel them fly by my side, keeping the rhythm of pulsing light? And how will the darkness look like? Will there be an opportunity to shine? If I were a firefly, how would the world be? Will I look up at the sky and wonder if the universe is made of billions of pinpricks shining like me?
If I were a tree, what would I see? Darkness stretching to the tips of my roots as I explore the depths of my world. Fungi and so many other teeny beings telling me stories, giving me tips. And then all the other trees, one single unity in this forest of ramifying limbs. What is the color of sunlight? Green, like my leaves? What does the rain taste like? Sweet, like the sap, like my lymph? How would the world be if I could just be a tree? I guess it wouldn't matter what I would see, because I would be part of something bigger, so much bigger than just me.
If I were the ocean, what would I see? Continents, reefs, endless skies, and a myriad of living beings. And then when I evaporate and turn into a cloud, a world that never stops breathing, turning, living. A world that I will rejoin falling. Rain on the ground, rain on the trees, the grass, the streams, and everything else that stands in between. But I'm not the ocean, nor a cloud in the sky. I am not a tree or a turtle swimming by. I am not a chipmunk or a playful otter. I am not a seagull sailing the currents of the wind. I am something else, and I have forgotten how to see.
I am a human. And what do I see? Endless streaks of light haunting me everywhere I turn. I'm surrounded by screens. My car zooms down the street, and I see only the patchwork of a world I barely remember how to greet. Animals lie flat under my tires. But I don't weep. I keep on looking forward, looking up to the light of the next screen. I see only the picture of the world I live in, and I am numb to the scope of everything I miss. My stare is fixed. My eyes are tired. And I can only imagine what it would mean to borrow the life of another, because mine is all but expired. Yet, I wish I could revert this. If I could just get away from the screen and start again and ask,
I am a human. What do I see? I see trees standing tall around me. I smell the sweet scent of the ground. I hear the gurgle of water in a stream. I see chipmunks running, frogs hopping as I disturb their slumber when I come around, while moss, ferns, and mushrooms cover every inch of the ground. I am a human. What do I see? I see birds flying high above the leaves. I hear the wind, I feel the sun, I taste the rain on my lips. And then I see the others, all around me, all humans, all part of this world, other animals, just like me.
So, when we feel anger and we want to fight, we need to take off the human lenses. Through these human-centric lenses, we see ourselves, humans, in the spotlight. Looking through these lenses, we see our own personal needs and the needs of a human society.
What if we look through the lenses of otters and seagulls? What if we considered the needs of turtles from a turtle's perspective? In the environmental sphere, we are usually caught satisfying human needs, believing that we need forests or rivers because they provide recreation or physical and spiritual well-being. We protect them to satisfy our own needs. But what if we protected the needs of the fireflies? What if we saw the world through the firefly's eyes?
Through this ecocentric perspective, we see a world of living beings in which we're all woven together in an immense tapestry of life. We, as humans in this society, have the power to stand up for the ecosystems we are a part of. We can stand up to speak for rivers, to speak for trees.
But how does this look in practice? When we are going about our daily lives, we can remember that we are not just living and acting for ourselves. The decisions we take affect the entire planet, which means we should ask, where are the products I'm buying coming from? How did they get to me? Who got them to me? And how much land was destroyed for me to have access to such a variety of goods?
This also applies to the workplace. What if we took decisions in our businesses and organizations considering the needs of rivers and other living beings? Instead of valuing more products, activities, wealth, and gadgets, what if we value the health of human and other than human communities? What if we acted thinking, what would the river do? What does the river need from me?
Does the river need an environmental NGO to print plasticized flyers with toxic chemicals? Does the river need an organization dedicated to protecting the river to build on top of the same ecosystem they're trying to restore? Do we and the ecosystems we inhabit need all the new computers to survive? Computers built with resources extracted by slaves. If the river was on a board of directors, if entire corporations were tasked to act in the river's name, humans will have the responsibility to satisfy the river's needs. Our economy and bureaucracy will have to acknowledge and respect the rights and needs of all the beings that make up our world.
And what about the laws? What would the river say if, represented by a human guardian, they were part of the governing body of a municipality? What would they say if they were part of a court of law? In this society, we humans have civil rights, agreements between ourselves and the communities we live in. If rivers are part of our communities, they also have rights, and we have the responsibility to honor them.
And now, we come back to the beginning, acknowledging once again that we live in a divided society. Alterity is the concept of otherness. It is usually defined by nationalities, community norms, or belief systems. In many cases, the other is the enemy. Since we, humans, can remember, we have acted violently against the other. This violence continues to this day as the walls that divide us get taller and taller. However, if we expand the concept of community, if we listen to the voices of our more than human neighbors, even the barriers between us wash away.
What if we sat down, putting away all technology, to discuss what makes us human and connects us to each other? What if we sat down and considered how we're connected to land and water? If we had conversations from the ground up, thinking about how we're all part of a shared ecosystem and community, violent discourse fades away. Instead of rivals, we would see fellow living beings, humans, just like ourselves.
And this would be our opportunity to honestly ask each other, what do you need? How can we make things better for you, for me, and everyone else? What world do we want future generations to live in? And like this, we can step beyond all borders, walls, and screens. The universe is waiting. Thank you.